Wiggity welcome to the BumbleKast. I'm your host, Ian Flynn, the Bumble King, and joining me as always is my Bumble co-host, Kyle, JCRB Krause.
I was not prepared for any sort of shenaniganery going on here, sir. Saying wiggity at the beginning of the show, I was not prepared for that.
We've been doing this for a while, just trying to mix it up a little bit, add a little bit of spice, a touch of paprika, if you will. Anything harder than that, I can't handle.
Trying to, bam, kick it up a notch. Let's see how it is.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Got it.
Gotta wake the people up because we had to take a hiatus last week.
Yes.
I went and got my second COVID shot, and Kyle, I've done my research like any good person on the internet has, and I gotta say, I'm disappointed.
Why?
I'm sorely disappointed because I was ready to have my 5G frequency. I was ready to have my magnetic powers. I was going to call myself Cell Razor. I was going to form the Bumblehood of Evil Mutants. I was going to, take over the Great White North and, get a cool jacket and helmet and all that jazz. And I didn't get those. I got different superpowers. Completely different.
Yeah. What kind of superpowers did you get?
I got the ability to become incredibly hot internally.
Wow.
Like uncomfortably feverish. And I was able to generate pain, just raw muscular pain. Unfortunately, I could only use that power on myself.
Oh. Well, that sucks.
So, yeah, it completely useless power set, and it burned out over like the course of 2 to 3 days.
Well, what the heck?
So,
man,
I don't know.
You only had superpowers for 2 or 3 days, and they were crappy superpowers?
Superpowers.
They were crappy superpowers. And yeah, that sucks. Man, you should go back into Manda
I want
Refund.
to be all plus ultra, but like even All Might would have been like, you stay at home, don't enroll. Just no good.
You should go back into Manda Refund.
What? Put the needle in, suck all that right back out, try it
again. Yes, that's right. That's right. They don't know who you are? Do they know who you are? They should.
And insult to injury, the mass clinic I went to was at a nearby mall, and in the vacant lot where the Target used to be. Target's attempt to move up across the border is legendarily disastrous.
Oh, yeah, it was bad.
But it's not there anymore, so I can't even say I got shot at Target, because it's not a Target anymore.
Oh.
Disappointment all around.
You got shot at the old Target. It doesn't have the same ring to it, I know.
That, and I gotta wonder, because you know how a lot of Target stores have those large red orbs right in the front door for some reason?
Yep.
They were all painted green.
Interesting.
So, is that a holdover from, like, Canadian Target, or did they have to paint over the orbs for some kind of brand ownership of large red parking lot orbs? I don't know. Both are silly options, and I'm curious.
You have to collect the green spheres.
That's what I did wrong.
I can't take credit for that one. That one's from the chat. But you got to collect the green spheres. Otherwise, they could have painted them blue. Then you could collect the blue spheres.
Yeah.
Didn't happen, though. Didn't happen. I got the second shot a few months ago, and I didn't even get those superpowers. The only superpowers I got were the superpowers of my arm being sore for a day and being kind of sleepy the day after. That was it.
That's it, eh?
That was it. It's like, what? You think you got just crappy superpowers? I barely even got any at all.
And see, my mom and my stepmother, they rolled with it like no problem.
Right.
But Aaliyah, me, just about everyone else I've talked to, they get laid out on the second dose. So
yeah, well, it also depends on which one you ended up getting. So that does make a difference.
Yeah.
So,
but if you haven't gotten your doses yet, go out, do it. Yeah, it sucks for like a weekend or a few days, but it's way better than the alternative.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Well, I actually did something interesting, sort of.
Oh?
I ended up, as of today, the day we're recording this, I finished up my watch through, official complete watch through of X-Men Evolution.
How'd you like it?
The early to mid 90s X-Men cartoon. I still like it, It still holds up fairly well. There's definitely filler episodes. But it's definitely underrated. It's still very fun though. I like I love the character designs and the character interactions and the fact that it is different from the typical X-Men we kind of knew and loved at that time anyway. But it still makes enough references, and it still picks out a lot of plot elements from the X-Men that we know and love. So, and as I'm seeing here in the live chat, I appreciate there was no Logan Scott / Jean love triangle, and Logan is just a grumpy tsundere old man. Yeah, but he still collects surrogate daughters though. That's his
works.
That's his superpower, is to just spend the whole time collecting surrogate daughters. That's his real superpower. And he does it all the time. It's not even all his fault, but yeah, it does work. So yeah, Logan is fun. And
I should go through it again myself. That was, now that you bring it up, it was a good show.
It is a good show. It's not like, fantastic, amazing storytelling. There's definitely some extreme filler episodes, like where nothing happens. It's like, oh, okay, 20 minutes for this, for nothing? Cool. Cool. Thanks. Nothing happened. Could have just skipped this episode completely. So it's not like it was kind of on the cusp of the shift from serialized stories to overarching plots. So it has a little bit of a plot that stretches between each season, but most of the episodes are just kind of standalone. So, but that's what I did. It's a good show.
Yeah, one of the best versions of Apocalypse.
X-23 that's X-23's origin, even though she was criminally underused and introduced very late. But that's okay. That's okay. At least they didn't introduce a new character in the second to last episode. Oh, wait, they did. They did. And then
also
she's gone forever.
Very fun version of Wanda.
Yeah, actually. And Rogue is supremely overpowered, as she should be.
Really liked the way they handled Rogue, actually.
Yes. I like Rogue a lot in that show. I like all the characters. Even the Brotherhood were very entertaining. I mean, Toad is obviously the comic relief character, and he's great. He's very funny. He even has his own theme song. and even Scott is okay. Even though Scott and Jean are the total sticks in the mud, even they're both okay.
I brought it up on the show in the past. It has one of the best Scott moments when he's fighting Juggernaut on the dam. Though.
Yeah, that is cool.
He says, "Hey, that's my boy."
Yep.
Kind of on that topic, did you see the latest bit of merchandise based off of the previous 90s cartoon?
No, I have not.
All right. Do you recall the meme of Wolverine lounging in bed in full uniform, looking longingly at a photo of Scott and Jean together?
Oh, yes.
Well, they made a figure of that.
Really?
a fully articulated figure, and the box is the bedroom.
Wow. That's incredible.
And
I have not seen this
frame,
at all. What?
If I'm not mistaken, the photo in the frame can be taken out and replaced with whatever you want.
Oh, good.
But and I think it comes with a couple of head swaps. One of them is morphed for some reason. It comes with the electrical slash from his claws from the intro. So you can do all sorts of fun poses, but why would you? Because it comes set up in the box on the bed.
Okay, I'm seeing it now.
Calling at the photo.
Wow, I got it right here. Yes.
I don't know what mad genius got that going, but bless you.
That is incredible.
You have raised the worth of humanity in general.
That is incredible. Wow. I think the first time I saw that meme, it was swapped out with a picture of Taco Bell taco or something, burrito. Oh, man. Glorious, glorious, glorious. Beautiful. Don't let your dreams...
We've made the people...
Don't let your memes become dreams. Make them reality.
We've made the people wait long enough. Should we get to the Q&A?
Yes, let's do it to it, buddy. Let's get it. Let's get this party started.
If you want your question answered here on the show, email us at BumbleKast@yahoo.com. Tweet to us at BumbleKast. If you're a patron, comment in the Ask Q&A channel. If you want your question answered sooner rather than later, become a $5 patron over at patreon.com/BumbleKast or donate $5 to us via Ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/BumbleKast. Be sure to include your name and your question. Otherwise, it's just a donation, and we like those, but you don't get anything out of it, and that makes us sad. Please be sure to check out the Q&A master list over at bumbleking.com/BumbleKast. Make sure your question has been answered recently. Because, if it has, we're not going to answer it again. Because it's been answered. That would just be superfluous.
Superfluous. I don't know why I acted like that was some kind of food or something. But whatever.
Not yet.
Oh, well. Let's get into the priority Q&A. Let's start off with something from our good buddy, Scruffymatt. There have been so many memorable boss battles in the Sonic series over the last 30 years, but I was wondering what your personal favorites are. Classic, modern, end of zone, supersonic endgame epics, all are on the table here.
Oh my. The original Sonic versus Knuckles fight is kind of like top of the list because you're not fighting Eggman.
For the first time, yeah.
Like, I remember distinctly coming into that room and going, what do I do? Do I actually hit Knuckles? Is that what I'm supposed to do? Is that okay? Am I allowed to do this? And then he, punched me, and his idle animation's like, yeah, okay, I can jump on his head. That's fine. That was fun. Honestly, wasn't a huge fan of the Eggman fights in general. Just because they were, one, I'm bad at Sonic games, and two...
There's some irony for you.
I don't know, they were kind of more annoying than anything. It's like I just got through the level and now I have to fight a thing.
To me, they were always really easy. They're much easier than I think they kind of need to be. 2D Sonic bosses kind of suffer from one of two things. Either you can just sit there and bounce off Eggman's head 8 times in a row and just easily breeze right through it, or they are stupidly annoying because you have to sit there and wait for him to become vulnerable. So at least in my experience, that's what it's always been like. You either have to wait around a whole bunch, which is annoying, or you can just bounce off his head multiple times, and that's it, very easily, without getting hurt. In my case, at least.
I was discussing this with a coworker on another project, and we got to the Metropolis Zone boss, and I was talking about just how much of a nightmare that was and how it stonewalled me for so long, and he kind of looks at me like I'm crazy and goes, no, that's the easiest one in the game. And I'm like, no, it's not!
Yeah?
That is a game over-inducing nightmare, and I'm just bad at Sonic games. I did like... the Lava Reef Zone one, if you knew where to get the fire shield, because then, it takes all the tension out of the fight, and you're just kind of waiting for Eggman to destroy himself and laughing at him the entire time.
That's the thing. That's one of the things. That's one of the fights I'm talking about, where you just have to kind of wait around, and it's like, come on, I don't want to just sit here and wait around. I'm obviously going to beat this guy. Just kill him already. I don't need to wait for 12 hits on this guy. just get it over with.
Mechasonic Mark II at a Sky Sanctuary.
I think the Mechasonic fights are more interesting than the Eggman fights generally.
Mm-hmm.
So,
as for modern, I guess Tales and the Eggwalker is pretty good.
mm-hmm.
Thematically and just construction-wise. I had a lot of trouble with it, but the experience of the Biolizard fight leading into the Final Hazard fight was good stuff. SA2.
Mm-hmm.
Sonic 06, having gone through Sonic's story first, the Silver Boss fight is just a nightmare. But then coming through it again on Silver's campaign,
it's just very, very satisfying that you can just wreck Sonic.
Just burying him under lawn furniture. That was funny.
It is, in fact, no use.
I seem to remember the Rush bosses were kind of fun.
See, and I can't remember some of those.
I remember the Captain Whisker Johnny fight. That was really cool. I wish there were more boss fights like that. Like, put Eggman in some kind of smaller Egg Robo armor, pair him with Metal Sonic, and just do that fight again. That would be fantastic.
Mm-hmm. At most,
and Doomsday Zone, because Doomsday Zone. Come on.
Yeah, Doomsday is the obvious, if kind of cliche answer, but for a good reason. It was kind of mind blowing as a kid. I'm like, what is this? I'm in space. I'm supersonic flying through space. Holy crap, this is amazing. Sure, ends up being a very easy thing because you can't die. You hang back and get rings, and you can kill them pretty easily. So, but
yeah, but the music,
but everything, but just everything else about it was like, oh man, this is so cool. I still do like the giant egg robot, though, preceding Death Egg Zone. I think in terms of an actual boss fight, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, see, I find that one tedious. It takes too long.
You can but you see, you kind of have some control over the fight because you can make the big shooty zappy thingy vulnerable by bonking him in the nose. So
sure.
So, you have some agency there. You're not just sitting around waiting for him to do something. So you can actually, control the fight a little bit yourself. So I appreciate that sort of thing. And the music in that boss. The music for that boss, I actually like better. So Big Arm's music I like better than Doomsday's. Big Arm's is fantastic music. So good. That freaking shredding guitar at the beginning. So good. So good. All right. Next question is from DaniTheLight. If you could choose a way for Clutch to be defeated, what would you think would be justifiable from what he's done so far?
I'm not sure, because we haven't seen a lot of Clutch just yet. He's more of a background manipulator. He's not like Rough and Tumble or Starline or Eggman. He's not like a big-time villain that needs to be trounced. He's more like a low-level scumbag. It's like the Chaotix put together enough evidence and they arrest him. Like, that's more Clutch's speed, I feel like. It's not very exciting, but, that's the point of having lower-level enemies, is to have stories that are, oh, that was neat, versus your big bombastic into the world threat. You need to vary it up a little bit. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, I don't know. I don't think it would take much to beat Clutch. Pretty much anybody in the cast could take him.
You gotta pop him. You gotta pop the Clutch. That's what you gotta do. That's what you gotta do. Don't act like that. Don't even. You, the king of puns. The king of puns. How dare you?
Yes, you beat me to it, Kyle. That's my reaction. You got it.
fine. Okay. I thought you were like, ugh, how dare you make a horrible pun? I'm like, dude,
Oh,
come
it was
on.
awful.
It is awful. Of course it is. That's the point.
And I didn't think of it first.
You gotta pop him. Pop the clutch. Pop him. Pop him. Here's a question from Jib. I'm not sure if this is too on par in terms of what you already know from the last Mighty question on the podcast, but I was curious what Knuckles and Mighty's dynamic is considering Mania and IDW.
I'm not entirely sure. The last I heard was that 32X Chaotix isn't canon.
Mm-hmm.
That it doesn't count. So in that regard, they shouldn't have met. And Mania plus Encore mode is kind of nebulous. And they didn't really get a chance to interact in Seasons of Chaos. So, I mean, Mighty's an easygoing, chill dude. And Knuckles is respectful of anyone who doesn't waste his time. So I could see them having a truly friendly rivalry. Not like Sonic and Knuckles, which there's a little bit of animosity, just a smidge. Because Sonic gets on his nerves, and Sonic knows he gets on his nerves, and he gets on his nerves on purpose because it's funny. But, I don't know, Mighty and Knuckles would be a little more chummy, I guess.
Mighty and Knuckles are gym buddies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
They're gonna pump you up.
That's right. That's them. I think that's probably the best I could think of for them. You know, they're both big, beefy dudes who like to punch things. That's their shtick. That's their thing. They're super strong. Here's a question from Diane W. I know what you did with Thrash was not your intended plans due to outside forces, but do you think that Zonic or the other Zone cops should have stepped in and arrested Thrash for his crimes against the entire Echidna race and have him imprisoned in the no-zone jail and be separated from his sisters for the rest of his life?
Okay. Highlighting this because this is a perfect example of a fan idea and not how to ask a question in general. This is the type of thing you should not do. But it's okay because that line of stuff is dead in the water. I'm never going to be able to come back to it. So I don't have to worry about possibly cribbing this idea because I'm never going to get to it. But this style of question is exactly what you wouldn't ever want to do. So Diane, thank you for providing this excellent example. I know that's what you intended to do. So top marks on the construction of this. As for the answer, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Zone Jailbreak 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. Here's a question from Speedweed. This is a long one, so bear with me. So I'm not too sure if either you or Kyle have seen the mini endings to Hollow Knight, or if you got into the lore throughout the game, but I'm throwing this out there because, hell, I'd be interested to see it from a professional writer. From the looks of it, the world of Hollow Knight seems to have kingdoms that are entirely isolated from each other through what could be assumed to be a gigantic, lifeless wasteland, and ruled by godlike beings. The only kingdoms we know of are Hollow Nest, which is totally dead as can be, and Farloom, which seems to be a lot more lively than the aforementioned Nest of Hollows. With that said, this could totally be considered Ian-tier fan headcanon, but if you were given the chance to try your hand at injecting a bit of extra world building to Hollow Knight through the collaboration of Ari Gibson and William Pellin, with the backing of either a comic or straight up trading ideas with the two and designing it with them, what would you want to see expanded upon the most?
I am super rusty on my Hollow Knight lore at best. So I'm going to have to be a bit broad here, but I kind of like the nebulous nature of the story. The fact that you come to Hollow Nest and it's you can't get the full story because the society is dead. There are, those who linger, there are hints, there are journals. You can kind of piece together the former decadence and that something went wrong somewhere. But the details are lost because the society is lost. And I kind of like that. It lends itself to the sense of decay and mournfulness and just this melancholy, I guess, to the entire thing. That this is not something that can be restored. This is lost forever. Put that in complete contrast to Breath of the Wild, which is another post-apocalyptic game, but that one feels more hopeful because you have pockets of civilization. You have areas where nature has reclaimed. You are working towards bettering things. It feels like you can rebuild. Hollow Knight isn't that. Hollow Knight is you've come to the end. You are just walking through the epilogue of this region, and there is no coming back. And there's a kind of beautiful sadness to that. It's just, it is bad. And what good you do is kind of too little too late, or depending on some of the endings from what I remember, just makes things worse. So in terms of what to add, I feel like if you add any more, that's going to lessen that experience. Like, if you were going to add anything, I would say add a new region that explores another aspect of Hollow Nest's fall, but not get into the nitty-gritty. Otherwise, I would say, tell a story of what happened to Hollow Nest beforehand. Like, actually tell that story if you want to. But with these kingdoms so disconnected, is there a connection between Farloom and Hollow Nest, or are they so far apart that it doesn't matter? In which case, any other kingdoms, what's really the connection? What would they add to Hollow Knight's story, or are you just telling another story set within that kind of universe? Maybe tell a story of, as Hollow Nest failed, maybe some people tried to leave. Did they try to settle somewhere? Did they come to another community and they were accepted, but they brought something dark with them? They were rejected and things went bad. They were accepted, but that society is not so great and it becomes kind of creepy. I mean, there's just a lot of ways to take it, but at that point, you're just creating side material. It's your Silk Song, basically. It's not Hollow Knight anymore. It's just another story set within that universe. So I don't know how to add to it that wouldn't take away from that minimalistic, purposefully obtuse way of telling. Not obtuse, purposefully hollow story, I guess.
Vague, like a kind of...
Yeah.
It's something you just infer from the story rather than outright spelled out to you.
Yeah. I mean,
mysterious.
I want to know all
there
the
we
details.
Go. That's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to know all the details. I would love to just do a straight up direct telling of the fall of Hollow Nest. If those guys, God, if they ever reached out, that'd be phenomenal. But I also feel like that would kind of betray the storytelling and the feel of the game. So I don't know. It kind of depends on just how beholden you are to the way things were presented in Hollow Knight.
Yeah, I still haven't played it. I need to change that. I know I need to change that, but yeah, haven't gotten to it yet. I will though. I will. It looks good. It looks beautiful. It sounds beautiful, but still haven't played it. Here's a question from Noni. In Lost World, Master Zik mentions that he'd much rather be tending their garden at one point. It seems odd that he'd even take out the time to do something of that sort, seeing General Zeddy behavior. So, what sort of things do you think he's growing in there? Does he even bother to try and keep people out of it? Does he have potentially lethal ways of enforcing it? I just want to know about Zeddy having gardens, man.
My impression was that all the giant fruit that tries to roll and crush and kill you are the things that he's gardening. Like, I kind of assumed that region was all his kind of garden plot, and that's why you have hostile fruits, is because the hostile man raised his fruits to be hostile. Beyond that, I don't know.
That is pretty funny, though. But
I mean, I could be reading too much into a line and it was just meant to be a throwaway, old man, retired, has a garden. But, I don't know. I want more than that.
I guess. Why not? Sure. Here's a question from Scurvy Pirate Hog. Considering how bizarre she can be, what the heck would a romance with Styx the Badger be like? Like, what would happen if she met the right guy and got a crush on someone? because I don't think it would be normal by any means. It could be a girl, or it could be non-binary. You don't know. Don't just assume.
The individual of her affection, she would stalk relentlessly.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to make sure that they aren't a robot or an alien robot, or perhaps are cloned in disguise, and that's why she finds them even remotely interesting. And that would probably scare away most potential suitors. And anyone she did manage to break the ice with, they would probably get tired of the constant conspiracies and paranoia. Unless they were equally as far down the rabbit hole as she is, but then they would probably butt heads over which conspiracy theory was the accurate one, and it would end in tragedy no matter how you look at it. It's sad. It's very sad.
See, and I imagine if Styx had a potential romantic partner, they would just be kind of resigned to, like, yes, dear. Yes, dear. Yes, dear. Yes. That's crazy, dear. Yes. I understand. Yes.
Okay, so it's almost like a Hubert and Pascal to make a Tales of Graces reference.
I guess
I could see that too.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, like, it's just kind of someone who's just like, just deals with it. But I mean, that's it. That's all I can imagine. That's all I can think of. So.
We'll make it wholesome and say that they find it kind of endearing and that they're supportive and nurturing when her worldview comes crashing down every other day.
Yes. And we'll go with that. Yes. Here's a question from Fiona M. The two worlds apparently have the same locations, like Central City. How does that work? Do they have all the same locations in terms of both cities and geographies? Or is it just naturally formed locations like mountains and fields? Is that why Green Hill is on an island off the coast of Central City, according to the world map of Sonic Adventure 2? Or since that is just a bonus level, is that considered non-canon? Are there any differences in the two worlds, different versions of locations, or are they geographically the same? Also, in Sonic Battle, is it specifically stated that the planet is Earth in Emerald's story? So I think you made a mistake there.
I'm going to say it again. Forget about two worlds. I can't specify why. Just don't worry about it anymore. Number two,
there's some people who are getting real antsy about that.
I know, and you know my position on two worlds, and I say this with a calm and satisfied smile. Don't worry about it anymore.
Would you say that is a knowing smile? Perhaps even a hashtag knowing smile?
I would indeed.
Okay.
So just join me in this zen-like moment and not worry about it anymore.
Okay, sounds good.
Aside from that, there can be cities sharing the same name in various places of the world. Look up how many Ontarios there are. Okay, that's a province, but, you know.
Look at how many, well, I mean, London. There's London, Ontario, London, England. I think there's at least one London down in here in the States. Yeah, there's lots of...
I mean, there's an Egypt, Mississippi. I realize Egypt is a country and they spell it differently, but
there's
just because there's one central city, there can be two central cities. Sure, it's a little confusing in a narrative like this, but just don't worry about it. Central City is fine as it is.
There's Georgia State, there's Georgia the country. Yeah. Yeah, anyway, go ahead, sorry.
And as for geography, just throw that out entirely. The maps change from game to game to game. There is no map. Okay, the world from Lost World does not match the world map in Shadow the Hedgehog, which does not match the map on Sonic Adventure 2, which does not match the fact that in Team Sonic Racing they take off for Dondompa's planet and they leave Earth, just straight up Earth. Google image search, copy, paste it into the background Earth. There is no consistent world map or geography. There isn't. There never has been.
No.
The comic had its own thing. The games change per game. Don't even try to worry about it.
If you try to reconcile all this stuff, you're just going to make your head explode. I know. I know it's so tempting to try and connect all this stuff together. And I know it's frustrating that it's so disconnected. But you got, at some point, you just got to kind of roll with it. Or you're just going to drive yourself nuts. Here's a question from Andrew D. Here's something that's been bothering me lately, and the 30th anniversary comic just added to it. It's about Ray's height in relation to the other characters. In all of his video game appearances, which seem to be Sega Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic Mania Plus, and its animations, Ray is the same size as Mighty and Sonic. That means he is taller than Tails. In Sonic Mania Adventures, and from what I can sort of tell in the 30th anniversary comic, however, Ray seems to be about the same height as Tails, and therefore shorter than Sonic and Mighty. I know it is written as the Tails to Mighty, but with the height constantly changing, is he still younger than Mighty, but as tall as Mighty? Or is he the same age as Mighty, but shorter than Mighty? Which height is the canon version? I feel like I'm the only one who has noticed this inconsistency over the years, and it's been bugging me. Mighty. Because he said Mighty. A lot. And that paragraph. Very mighty. Anyway, go ahead.
It bugged me too in Mania, but this is his second appearance, game-wise, so I don't think there is a consistency yet. If he was supposed to be the same height, I would imagine we've gotten that note in the art for the comic, but sometimes slip up. So my answer is I don't know. I'm treating him as younger and smaller, and that's how I'm approaching things with him, and I'll just keep doing that until I'm corrected.
Yeah, okay. Works for me, I guess. Here's a question from Dove. We've had ghosts, aliens, and werehogs. The next logical step is a vampire, energy, not blood, villain. Have there ever been plans for such a villain that you know of? If not, would it be something you'd like to write?
I'm going to keep that one in my back pocket because I did kind of have the rough idea for a character along that line. Not straight up, blah, vampire with the bat and the fangs and the terrible accent, but someone who kind of steals life energy in a sort of way. I don't know if I'm ever going to get to do that or if I'd get to do it the way I'm thinking of it, but I don't want to potentially, spoil something for down the road. So, yes, it's crossed my mind. No, I don't know of it showing up in any official media, at least that I can think of.
Yeah, that would be, I think the concept is Dove is speaking of is more like rogue rather than, actual like Dracula-style vampire.
But I mean, we've had Werehog and we just did zombies, so I mean, why not?
Sure. Throw them all in. And then you need to introduce a hero with a whip, an anti-hero with a whip, who whips vampires. That's their thing. You could call their thing the Vampire Destroyer. Yes, that's the name of their whip. It's the Vampire Destroyer. That's exactly what it is. Exactly. Because you can't say killer because this is a kid's franchise. Can't talk about death.
No, of course not.
No.
But you can destroy all you want.
Yes, of course. Here's a question from Sonic. Is there a possibility that there will be a comic where certain retcons in a certain series are addressed and the plot holes created by them are filled in when the story it is run through a certain group of people, quote unquote? It could provide some insightful feedback for, quote unquote, someone to bring a, quote unquote, certain fandom some way. Does this count as a fan idea? I tried to make it as vague as possible so it does not count.
Okay, so this is a counterexample to Diane's example. This is so vague, I have no idea what you're asking.
I can't figure it out either.
I can take a guess, but I can't make all the pieces fit to make sense to me. So, if we were to say, is there a possibility that there will be a comic where the post-reboot retcons were addressed and plot holes created by them were filled when the story is run through the Freedom Fighters? It could provide some insightful feedback for Sonic to bring a
Chili
Sally
dog
fandom.
Bring a chili dog fandom.
I don't know.
You get the chili dog fandom, man. You're leaving out the chili dog fandom.
See, I'm trying to put this together in what I'm guessing is the question, but it doesn't quite fit. So if you're going to ask something like, do you think we could ever see the post-reboot world undone? That's a perfectly fine question. You're not asking specific plot details. Or if you're asking, do you think we're ever going to see a way of the Freedom Fighters come back in any Sonic continuity? That's perfectly fine. That's a broad enough question. This is... I mean, it's super safe. There is no idea I can take from this. I promise you. But it's too safe. This is like the childproof lock on the ibuprofen bottle. I can't open it. And the headache lingers. I can't do it. So please resubmit your question a little more directly, and I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, I was a little confused by this one. I was like, what are you talking about? I don't know. Maybe Ian knows. Let's find out. No.
Either way, it's a learning experience for us all. It's a good example. So
yeah. I mean, I kind of like this one, just how vague it is. I don't know if we've had a question this open ended and vague before. It's pretty. It's pretty interesting.
That's our new challenge to everyone with priority questions. Submit your most vague question possible.
Will Updog ever come back to Sonic? Here's a question from Digama. Someone in a previous BumbleKast brought up the idea of a crossover between Metroid and Sonic. But let's take this to the Galaxy Brain territory. A crossover between Metroid Other M and Other M. Dark.
You introduce the two concepts, and they actually managed to physically manifest into some stinking pile of goo. This fetid trash that just plops to the floor and every now and again burbles out the baby. And you try to throw it out and it gets all indignant because it takes itself entirely too seriously.
There's too much teen angst in both of them, which is weird. I didn't even think Metroid would have teen angst in it, really, but it kind of did a little bit with younger Samus.
I give it a thumbs down.
Yeah.
All right, we got a priority question for you, Kyle.
This is weird. I'm confused and scared. Help me, Ian. Read the question.
This one comes from Off. In light of Sonic's recent anniversary concert, other gaming companies want to do an hour-long orchestrated concert of their video game music, and they're letting you pick. What gaming series do you choose to do a symphonic arrangement for? I guess Ian can answer too. Nope. Kyle is the music guy. This is all him.
I'm still curious what your answer would be, though. But
I would take a symphonic arrangement of Skies of Arcadia. Okay, they're done.
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, that's an easy one. The thing is that there's already been a lot of orchestral arrangements and live orchestras of some of the bigger franchises out there. So it was kind of tough thinking about it. But I came up with something, and I thought it would be pretty cool to have a Sega Arcade Classics symphonic show. And I mean, I'm thinking of games like Outrun, Afterburner, Space Harrier, Power Drift, Fantasy Zone, Virtua Fighter, Virtua Racing, Super Hang-On, Golden Axe, Sega Rally, Quartet, eSWAT, and of course the big one, big one, Daytona. Yeah, you can. Yeah. Yes, those games have legendary soundtracks, amazing music. And I really think all of them could work just as well as Sonic did for an orchestral show. Be fantastic. So that would be my first choice. So I know that's not really a franchise; it's like multiple franchises, but it's all thematically appropriate. They're all Sega arcade legends from the 80s and 90s. So just take all those, combine them together. You got a good show right there. I'm into it. Otherwise, I was thinking like maybe an indie game showcase, which I think has actually been done. There's been a few shows that have been a few live orchestra shows that have been focused mainly on indie games, but something with Shovel Knight and or Shantae would be really cool. I don't think I've heard either of them get the orchestral treatment yet. And other than that, I mean, worst comes to worst, just do the soundtrack for Wave Race 64. If you haven't listened to the Wave Race 64 soundtrack in a while, or if you've never heard it, do yourself a favor. You like the guy who composes Animal Crossing? You like the music from Animal Crossing? It's kind of like that, except more exciting because it's a racing game. And it's just really, really, really friggin' good. It's still one of the best racing game soundtracks ever, in my opinion. So, yeah, Wave Race 64, I think, would be a really good... I'm saying orchestral Mega Man. I'm seeing that. Mega Man X. Could work, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be neat. I'm kind of kicking myself for not thinking of that. There's been some symphonic Mega Man stuff here and there, but yeah, a whole show dedicated to it seems a little bit obvious now that I, have it thrown in my face. Man, I feel dumb. So yeah, there we go. There's another one. Do that.
Has there been a Castlevania one?
Sorta. It's been. I'm kind of wondering. I don't know if it's ever been a live show, but I know that a lot of the soundtracks for games have used symphonic arrangements and stuff like that. So yeah, Castlevania is a pretty consistent staple of video games live. So there's definitely multiple symphonic arrangements of it floating around out there. So yeah, you could do that. Castlevania would definitely work. So that's another one. It's another good one. Just, I'm not sure if there's an actual Castlevania live show that ever happened. Needs to happen. I'm being told Castlevania 64. You know what? There's actually a few decent songs in Castlevania 64. So, yes. Yeah. You could do it. All right. With that, we're going to take a break and listen to some of these soundtracks while we're on our 10-second break. And then we'll be right back on the BumbleKast. All right, we've had a good break. Now it's time for some good questions. As we jump into the standard Q&A, here's a question from Dragon's Den of Variety. Hi, Ian and Kyle. My question is, if you were to pick one Sonic cartoon to reboot and write for, which cartoon would it be and why? And no, you can't pick Sonic Mania Adventures.
Okay, number one, your username sounds like one of the coolest stores I would ever want to walk into.
Yes.
Number two, there is no rebooting Sonic Mania Adventures because it's perfect the way it is.
Right. I was going to say.
Number three, it would be Sad AM because, duh.
That's the obvious
Adventures.
answer.
I mean, Adventures of, I didn't really enjoy anyway, and it's just a episodic goof fest. There's nothing to work with. Most of the characters, no, I'm not going to go on that tirade because I'm going to make people mad. Underground, I mean, there's Sonya and Manic, but I feel like it was the poor man's Sad AM. And
you could kind of I feel like you could implement some of Underground's.
Yeah,
some of the more
fold Underground
into Sad AM reboot. I think you could maybe kind of get away with that.
And X is what it got right. It got so right, and what it got wrong was so very wrong. And ultimately, I was kind of just bored by it. I mean, the high points are exceptionally high, but everything else is just this kind of gray monotone in the background of my head. Sad AM, though, that had a plot, that had a solid supporting cast that in some ways were more on brand than the Sonic X crew. All you need to do is get it to match the house style, maybe tweak it a little bit, because you look at Sad AM and it's Sally's show when you get down to it. It's her fight to regain her kingdom and find her father. It's her team. It's her show. Sonic is just the hero in it. So you need to do a little bit of remixing somewhere to make it a Sonic show. But darn it, I like those guys. I like the premise. I like the setting. You just need to tinker with it a little bit, and you got a solid enough Sonic show.
Just reboot it and call it Sally the Acorn. That's all you need.
cut Sonic from it entirely?
No, and you still have Sonic there, but if it's Sally's show, just put her name on it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yes, Sally the Acorn. That's what we need. That's what it needs to be. The has to be there. That's required. I don't want to reboot any of them, really. I just want to have a season 3 of Sonic Boom. Please and thank you. Here's a question from Snooty Boy 55. Let's come up with a hypothetical situation where Sally was to be written into a relationship with Shade the Echidna. How well would you be able to adapt that into story form, and how would you build up that moment within said story? For me, it would depend on how canon you want to make Sonic Chronicles, icky law issues aside, if you get rid of it entirely. How would you write this out? I would love to hear your ideas on how to make this work, if you wouldn't mind, of course.
And we had to cut some of this up because it became basically fanfic. So,
yeah.
Another example of don't send the fan ideas, even though, like Diane's example, it's perfectly safe because Shade and all of them are non-canon and never to be touched again.
You mean Thrash, but also Shade, yes.
No, I mean Shade for this one. Thrash is from the previous.
For hers, yes. Okay.
Okay. So assuming that Chronicles was canon and accessible, that is not a pairing I had even remotely considered.
No.
Just in that it hadn't ever crossed my mind.
Right.
I mean, you could maybe work. I feel like Shade is a bit cold and analytical. I could see her working well with Sally. You know, she would be someone Sally could reliably send out on solo missions to get stuff done, but I don't know if they would really mesh on a romantic level. I don't know. Again, I've never put any thought to this, so it's kind of hard to just on the fly come up with it. Styx is easier because she's the joke character, so you go for the punchline.
Well, I mean, if you ask a certain someone, Shade is just Julie Sue, so
she's better, Julie Sue. She's Julie Sue done right.
Yeah.
And again, you try to put Julie Sue and Sally together in that kind of context, and I'm just kind of going to give you a head tilt because I don't see that working. And before anyone gets into the nitty gritty semantics, I mean like general purpose. I don't want to get into who was canonly going for what and which continuity and blah. We're just talking about crack ships here.
Yes, full of cracks, and that's okay. Sometimes those are the most fun. Here's a question from Aaron M. How old is the character Lanolin the Sheep of the Sonic IDW comics supposed to be? I saw online that someone listed her as being 20. I was wondering if that's true or not. If there's no set age for her yet, how old would you speculate she probably is?
I don't think she has an age because she's not a character, really.
She is ageless. She is always and forever.
She was a background character that Adam enjoyed, and so he did a turnaround for funsies, and she's kind of become a reoccurring background character, but she hasn't gone through the process like Tangle, Whisper, Rough and Tumble. She hasn't been formally approved. She's just this kind of collective wink nudge between us and the fandom. I mean, that can change, but I don't think she has any solid stats. I could be wrong. I should probably ask Adam, see if he had anything in mind. But I would imagine she's in the same range as the rest of the Sonic crew, so somewhere in her teens, probably.
Alrighty then. Our next question is from Zarek Studios. In Archie Sonic number 215, the Arctic Freedom Fighters were reintroduced. During the 2 issues they were in, Augustus had no dialogue despite talking in the team's original appearance. Any particular reason why? Did he suddenly become mute like Bark, or was it lack of space in the story?
It's been so long, I honestly don't remember, but I feel like there was a subsequent appearance where he went from this kind of ice climber's dumpy polar bear to ludicrously ripped, and he was silent there, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Or something? I can't remember if it was some bit of minutia that I was following up on, or if it's just a matter of he didn't get any lines in the issue because he didn't get any lines. It's been a long time, so I honestly don't remember.
Ice climbers don't be polar bear. I don't know why, that just makes me giggle. And then again, everything makes me giggle. Have you heard me on this show? Jeez.
I have.
I laugh way too much. It's not my fault things are funny, or I laugh nervously, because that's just what I do to fill in time when I'm confused and don't know what to say. Here's a question from Ivan F. Hey, not to disrespect you, but it kind of felt like your Rivals of Aether comic could fit into 6 or 7 pages. Can you tell which parts do you consider necessary and which do you cut?
I'd be interested to see what you thought was superfluous, because this was very specifically created. Also, just going by the wording, I'm not sure if you mean like the whole mini-series or just like issue number 1, because I don't know when this...
I think this was around when issue 1 dropped. So,
okay.
This is a bit of an older question. So, yeah, I think that might
All right, so we'll just assume it's
assume it's pretty early on. So, like, number 1-ish.
I mean, because the first few pages are there to introduce your average person to just what the heck this comic is. Since the whole plot is the bad future, we kind of had to establish what the good present was. Contextualizes what Claren's ultimate goal is, what she feels like is the heroes to aspire to. Then it has to establish why she's special, why that specialness is special, and why she is not using it more. Have to do a lot of world building in terms of who her family is, endear her and the reader to them, show the plight of what they are all going through so that you sympathize with them. The dream sequence has to be there to set her on her hero's journey, or at least to set the seeds for it and kind of rationalize where she's going ultimately in the miniseries. The nighttime sequence is to build the tension. The explosions, sure, we could probably have done it just in one big boom panel, but that's not nearly as horrifying as watching things escalate. And you need some time for her to learn the whole tragedy that is going on and have time to react and process and decide her course of action. So maybe you could trim a page out of that, but I don't know how you do that in 6 and 7 pages without it just being like exposition after exposition after exposition.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you were just writing it out in terms of like no art or anything, I guess you could maybe condense it down to 6 or 7 pages. If it were just a book, yes. But, different medium of storytelling, so I don't know. That's the only thing I mean,
if you're going through the bombing sequence and just kind of flipping through it going, oh, this is just mindless action, you're not reading the book, So right. I don't know.
Well, yeah. If you got feedback, don't be afraid to give it. It's not disrespectful to give feedback.
Yeah. I mean, I guess a more general answer to the question would be that what is the purpose of each scene? What does each scene do, and how does each panel and each page move that forward? Mm-hmm. Are there moments in there to let the concept linger? Is it something to build tension? Is it to convey a passage of time? What does each panel and each page do for the scene and for the overall issue and for the entire project? That's something that you have to kind of work at the macro level and then build from there.
Right. And I don't know if it's... To be honest, I still have not played Rivals of Aether, and I haven't read the comic either. But I'm just kind of wondering, is there anything in the games that you might like already know, so you're just kind of getting it retold to you through?
No.
This okay.
No, like if you're a hardcore Rivals fan, then you know that Claren is from the future, and you saw the parallels between her reveal trailer and issue 4, and you got a kick out of that because that was very homage-y. The shadowy figure in the reveal trailer is revealed in issue number 4, so maybe you got some satisfaction out of that, going, "Oh, that's who that is." And how does that make any sense? Oh my God, what's the story in between? But if you're just like a casual player who, picked it up because, hey, furry Smash Brothers, all you really know is that Claren is the panther chick with a lightsaber.
Okay. So Rivals of Aether doesn't exactly have a super deep story in game then.
I mean, there is a story mode,
right?
But it is first generation indie game story mode kind of thing, and
sure.
My job is to help cultivate that, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
Dan has no illusions about it, but I still don't want to throw him under the bus because he's super chill and, my boss. But and this project was kind of bold because you're not telling the Rivals story. You're kind of telling the Days of Future Past story in your first miniseries.
Right.
But that's partly because Claren is a big fan favorite. So, yeah, the first issue and the whole miniseries has to do a lot of contextualizing for a lot of lore that is not on the forefront. But this is also a very new franchise, so we got to start somewhere.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. I was just kind of wondering if, maybe they were like, oh, okay, I already know all this stuff. Why is this here? Just cut it all out. But if it's all new, then, I don't know. I'd be interested to know more of what Ivan thought, though. More than he could probably fit in a YouTube comment. Here's a question from Vlad C. Ian, what were the main differences between writing Archie's Mega Drive and IDW's classic comic? Production-wise, dialogue or character-wise, canon-wise, and Sega guideline-wise?
They were completely different beasts when you get down to it. Mega Drive was a one-off that if it did well, might turn into another part, but we couldn't bank on it. So it had to be fairly self-contained while also leaving itself open for continuation. Whereas Seasons of Chaos is a one and done. Here's the page count. This is all we're doing. Done. Mega Drive was written in the hopes of maybe one day we might see some kind of classic content again. And Seasons of Chaos is directly inspired by the revival of the classic line, which completely flips the mentality on its head. Mega Drive was playing it very safe. We didn't do a lot of callbacks. It was more of a spiritual homage. Keep the cast small, keep it a collect the MacGuffin story like just about any Sonic game. Whereas Seasons of Chaos was, okay, how many of the toys will you let me play with at the same time and keep it, in a functioning narrative. So they were night and day. They were completely different.
And finally, our last question on this episode comes to us courtesy of a mirror scaling ninja. BumbleKast, who do you think wins in a free-for-all fight between Sonic and Shadow and Espio? Also, who wins in a fight for your take? Sonic versus Shadow, Sonic versus Espio, and Espio versus Shadow.
I guess Sonic, since he always overcomes impossible odds, that's kind of his thing. On paper, Shadow should have the power levels and movesets to just trounce them both without much issue because he's overpowered as heck.
Mm-hmm.
But Sonic's kind of defining role is he beats gods. That's just what he do.
I mean, if it were the story, if it were for actual story, Sonic would have to win. That's kind of his thing, but I don't know.
I mean, Espio would put up a fight, sure, but
yeah.
I don't think he can compete on their level.
Yeah, he's a little outclassed. Even though he is a sneaky ninja, so he gets some good hits in.
He's a sneaky ninja, but it's like I think it's canon that he loses his camouflage if he sneezes. So,
well, don't sneeze. Hold it in, SBO. Hold it in. And we've seen Sonic versus Shadow. I mean, many times. Shadow usually loses. Kind of a shame, too. Because of those three, I think I'd like SBO the best. But, you know.
I don't want to, say no to good old SBO, but,
I mean, well, if he just kind of let Sonic and Shadow fight each other for a while and let them just kind of tire each other out, I don't know. He could maybe
but I
get at least a little bit of an upper hand for a little bit until someone pulls out freaking Chaos Emeralds and then it's all over.
See, I don't know if he would consider that disgraceful, though, to sit it out until he makes the tactical strike.
That's true.
I mean, that kind of goes against the whole ninjutsu thing. You're striking from the shadows. You don't stand out there and take it on the chin like a Shogun Putz.
No. He's in the shadows, just waiting, biding his time, And then when it's his chance, after they've beaten each other, after Sonic and Shadow have beaten each other to a pulp, that's when SBO can step in.
And then Vector razzes him for being a coward and wait until the very end. And, no, it was totally the way of the ninja. And Charmy's going like, coward, cheater. And then they all start fighting each other. And
and then it's just the chaotics. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's
I like that version better. Because I'm Team Chaotix all the way.
Always Team Chaotix. With Mighty. You gotta have Mighty in there. Come on, Sega. Don't be like that. Bring back Mighty, Heavy, and Bomb. I need my full Chaotix team, thank you. I don't know what you do with Heavy and Bomb. Make them blow stuff up and crush things, I guess, because that's literally what they're for. That's what they're good at. But still. Anyway, we're done, I think.
I think we're done.
Okay.
Actually, no, we're not, because we have to give a big thank you to everyone who makes this show possible.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you to all the patrons and supporters on Ko-fi. Those include Daniel H., Alex P., James K., John B., Jennifer R., Robotnik Holmes, Samuel P., Sam Cybercat, Torchbound, Justin G., Mike B., Coupland Crew 128, Duas Dizdin, Diane W., Andrew D., Scruffymatt, Bradley T.T., Chris A., Sony, John M., Salute Your Cat, Dawn B., Yami M., Noni, Sen Fritz, Lee H.K., Lisa M., Dave M., Chevelle, Off, Silly String, Piggy Bank, J. Frost, Blue Title Gamer, Justin S., Jib, Tick Tick, Final Meal, Hero of Light 13, Dagama F. Wow, Jonathan D., Ryan D. Rachel W. Speedweed, Godzilla, Chaos Universe, Sonic Legacy, Daniel B. Dattler the Dalek, PC the Unicorn, Preston M. Pandolce, Dove, Red the Supernamic, Jonathan W. Flixie, Owen B. D. Fernando G. Chase L. Fionan M. Jonathan R. Chad Sapphire Scarletta Turbo Les Renard Pixel Creative Name Crooker Lewis J. Mr. Mysterious Harper Noah S. John the Real Waluigi DaniTheLight Scurvy Pirate Hog and Dove.
I didn't know Waluigi's real name was John. Interesting.
And we have a Mr. Mysterious in the mix now.
Mr. Mysterious. Ooh, spooky, I guess. I think it's spooky. Dove got mentioned twice.
Oops. Well, thank you, Dove.
Extra thanks to Dove for being a patron and sending us a Ko-fi.
Sure, we'll spin it that way.
Sure. Where can the people find you online, Ian?
Find me on Twitter at IanFlynnBKC and go to BumbleKing.com to find the Q&A master list, my web store where you can buy signed comics for discounted prices, along with a whole slew of other things. Kyle, what about you?
Ooh, fancy. I'm going to go to that store and buy some stuff, maybe, at some point, eventually. In the meantime, though, I'm going to be over on Twitter at KyleJCRB. You can also find me on at kngi.org. That's the home of my other show, Nitro Game Injection. You can listen to that one streaming live at Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You head on over there and you can listen to some excellent video game music, video game related remixes, covers, arrangements, and other fan-made stuff generally. focusing on that. So be sure to go check that out. You can also find the BumbleKast over there too, where it's an archived. All the archived MP3 downloadables are over there. So grab them. That's where everything is. So go check. Go.
Follow the show on Twitter at BumbleKast. Contact us at BumbleKast@yahoo.com and listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Music, Amazon Music, Audible, our YouTube channel, and as previously mentioned, kngi.org.
And of course, check out the Bumble store. shop.spreadshirt.com/Bumble store. Get some Bumble accessories. Get that. Get the BumbleKast and Bumble accessories. You can check them out all over there. And maybe someday we'll stream again, too. Someday.
Maybe.
Someday.
That's going to wrap us up for the last episode in July. How did that happen? We'll see you next month for another BumbleKast.
Have a nice trip. See you next fall month.
August is the end of summer, though.
Don't remind me. I hate August, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you
kind of hate August.
I don't blame you. You live in, like, the worst place
which is
to have in August.
You know what's funny? That the heat dome that's forming this weekend, that's going to be coming in on Monday. It's not really going to affect most of the populated parts of Arizona. And actually, most of those heat domes this year haven't, which has been very weird. We're only in like the low to mid triple digits instead of in the extreme teen to 20s triple digits like everyone else has been.
Absolutely not.
I
refuse to even acknowledge that. God.
What was the high up there? You guys have been getting it pretty. You guys are in that zone. You guys have been in that zone, and it's been rough.
But pandemic, better quarantine with all that AC. I'm doing this for the good of everyone.
Yeah. The freaking Pacific Northwest is going to turn into a desert by the end of this.
Well, you know they say if you can't stand the heat, get out of the planet.
I guess. Let's leave. I'm ready. Speedweed says he never even knew there was Castlevania 64. Dude, there were two. The second one was kind of a remake of the first. The second one was kind of a remake of the first one, actually, which is very strange. It's like, here's Castlevania 64.
The second one,
and then here's another Castlevania 64 that was sort of a remake of the first one. It's like, wow. So, what were you saying?
If it were out today, the second one would just be a DLC pack for the first one.
Yeah.
Like, here's all the same content, just with two different characters and slightly remixed objectives.
Yep. I don't think they're quite as bad. I don't think they're as bad as people kind of paint them to be. They're not great games by any stretch, but, you know, for the time, they weren't, like, completely awful. I've played some bad N64 games, and they're not on that level. They're not on that level.
I got rhythm, who could ask for anything more? Who could ask for anything more?
I don't know. I think the people would be asking for a show, so let's give it to them.
Alright. I need to go roast me some vegetables to make me some soup.
Okay, roast them.
I shall.
Roast. Get roasted.
I'm not going to give in temptation and get a burger. I'm going to make soup.
Get roasted. Get roasted. You've been listening to the BumbleKast, a co-production of Bumble King Comics and the KNGI Network. Original theme music composed by Ken Coda Snyder. Remixed intro by T-Lopes. Find out more information, along with podcast feeder links, MP3 downloads, and more at bumbleking.com and kngi.org.
Yesterday I made turkey stock.
Turkey stock.
Turkey stock.
Nice.
Not pretty bad. Good. Not
Came out pretty bad.
It turned out pretty good.
Came out pretty bad. Cool.
Get that all out before we start recording. Tonight I bought a rotisserie chicken at the store, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna roast up some vegetables, chop those up, put it in the stock, make myself a nice little turkey chicken veggie stew. See how that goes.
Gosh, I'm going to your house for dinner.
I'm fighting the temptation because right before we recorded, we watched an episode of Basics with Babish, which is a cooking series on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And he did how to make your own in-house steakhouse burgers. And it's like, no, I made tons and tons of soup stock. I need to eat that and not order a burger.
Burger.
Good.
Burger.
Good.
No.
No.
Burger.
No.
Burger.
Soup.
Soup. Soup and burger. Why not both?
Shut up, Kyle. Stop it. Get thee behind me, temptation.
Soup burger.